Previously, Rokurota, a gigantic prisoner, enters the chat and wreaks havoc all over the place. Genji is slapped away by Rokurota, bringing him close to death. Gabimaru and Sagiri come in time to fight him, but they're unable to land a critical hit. Gabimaru uses his brain to cause a fire which produces carbon monoxide and makes Rokurota fall on his knees, decapitating his head. They move in the opposite direction and meet Yuzuriha and Senta, who comment that this is the village of Shinsenkyo where hermits live. Before we move on, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on the latest anime. Shobi and his brother Tama see two very beautiful girls making out in front of him. What a sight for sore eyes! But one of the girls sees them and becomes angry at why there are humans on the island. This makes her stand up and transform into a guy. And without a moment's delay, his horny mode has been turned into a serial killer maniac mode. Gabimaru and the rest stare at the village below them and are baffled that there is some sort of life on this island other than the monsters that roam freely. Gabimaru senses someone behind them and looks back to find that a little girl runs off scared. He follows her like a bloodhound, tells the others to follow to capture the girl since she might have some information about the island. However, they're stopped midway by a tall, living bonsai-like monster. Gabimaru doesn't let Groot come in his way and pushes it towards Yuzuriha and Senta to defeat while he and Sagiri chase the girl deep in the forest. Yuzuriha sees this as an opportunity to use her ninjutsu skills and drinks something out of a cup, which automatically lets huge sweat-like droplets ooze out of her skin. God, someone stop this perverted lady before it's too late. Gabimaru manages to catch up to the girl and grabs her arm, but she instead throws him away with brute strength. Sagiri tries to talk to the girl and almost gets hit by an uppercut but is saved again by Gabimaru. Just who is the monitor here in the first place? Nonetheless, Gabimaru is furious at all these huddles and is no mood to mess around and uses the tree vines on the ground to capture the child, which makes her cry. Guilty and scolded by Sagiri, he releases the girl and Sagiri calms her down by a gentle hug. Yuzuriha defeats the bonsai monster, but it starts to speak and pleads to them to give the child back to him, and he will tell them about the elixir of life as well as take them to the village. They follow Mr. Bonsai, let's call him that for now, to the village, and there everyone bathes and eats the delicious food that he offers to them. Except for Gabimaru, he stays on the edge of his feet in case they're ambushed or tricked. After they've relaxed, Mr. Bonsai explains how the island they're on is called Kotaku, and it has been divided into 3 parts. The village they're in is called Hojo, and the elixir of life or Tin, which is another word given to it, is in Horai, that is in the center of the island hidden in the mists. Gabimaru asks if he's not bluffing, to which he explains they haven't yet met the protectors of the island, the Tensen, eternally beautiful creatures who never age or die. Before the group have faced Soshin, but never the Tensen, who are of another kind. Here we get to see Shobi and Tama fight the Tensen and manage to cut it in half, but it only starts to regenerate and come back to its perfect self. The next thing the brothers know is that they're defeated and are on the ground close to death. Tensen picks them up and throws them down into a deep hole, whereas Mr. Bonsai explains they will turn into beautiful flowers and become a part of Tan. Mr. Bonsai reveals his name to be Hoko and the little girls to be Mei, and how he has been hospitable since this could be the group's last quest, since once they meet Tensen, they will most likely be killed. After the chilling information of the island, Gabimaru goes to take a bath and relax himself. Sagiri accompanies him to keep an eye, but they happen to invade the privacy of Mei, who was about to take a bath as well. She starts crying at being seen naked, to which yet again Sagiri consoles her and helps her take a proper bath and become clean. The motherly instincts and love is something the child has been deprived of, and it can be seen by the way Mei slowly becomes attached to Sagiri. Gabimaru notices the scar in Mei's back and recalls the mark on his own wife's face and starts to miss her. He remembers how her kindness and soothing words would help calm him down and become less of a monster that he would always think himself to be. Before leaving the bath, he tells Mei to not hide her scar, to which Sagiri tells that not all of them have such a choice, but he baffles her by his words. He explains how he also has a female in his life with a scar, but her beauty will always stay in his eyes. This moves Mei as well, and she hugs him. Gabimaru knows his purpose, and his eyes show his determination. He wishes to return back home and become one with his wife, and he's willing to risk everything to make that happen. Time for a little backstory of Yamada. Yamada used to live a horrible life as a child, where his parents never cared about him, because of which he had to make ends meet by fighting and stealing. He could sleep whenever he wanted, go wherever he wanted. There were no rules attached to him, because of which he had become accustomed to such a life, until one day he was taken in by a man with a sword. Snapping back into present day, Shinsenkyo, Yamada, and Nurugai are looking for a way to leave the current, and since there are no currents leading out of the island, they're confused at the best course of action to take. Not to mention, we also find out that Nurugai is actually a girl. While they stand and think of different ways to leave the island, one of the Tensen appears out of the sky and stands before them. Orange hair, eyes, and a stiff expression on its face, it talks about how it feels in rest on the island and seeing so many of the Soshin killed. He looks at Yamada and with razor-sharp speed attacks him, sending him flying miles away. Now it's Nurugai's turn, but she manages to dodge the attack like a slithering snake, giving Yamada enough time to recover. He gets up and uses his special attack on the Tensen, chopping his arm and head up before the two make a run for it. Tensen is not the one to be defeated that easily, and has magically appeared where Yamada and Nurugai were running and tries to kill him. But a sword appears out of thin air and slices his head off. Call it luck or fate, but Yamada's sensei, Shion-san, has come to his rescue, telling the two of them to run while he follows. Yamada explains to Nurugai about his sensei's ability to use his ears and scent to find his way since he's blind. He does get scolded by Shion-san for being too slacky while finding the Tensen and relying too much on his emotions. He asks why his sensei is still on the island, to which he explains of not finding a current that would lead him out of it, and the one that does, he had detected a presence like nothing he had ever experienced before. Nonetheless, they must find a way out of the island, but before they could, he points his sword at Nurugai and asks Yamada to explain why he's assisting a criminal. Yamada stands his ground and takes Nurugai's side and explains how he sees potential in him, the same way Shion-san saw potential in him when he was a useless brat on the streets. This makes Shion very happy and gives him a chance, but before they could plan out an escape, Tensen has come and tells them they were fools for taking him so easy. Shion pushes the two out of the way and tries to deliver an attack, but Tensen is far too quick and has already slashed his throat. Blood pours out of his throat and prevents Shion from moving. Yamada uses his opportunity to fight, but Tensen has already read all his moves and easily blocks them. Propelling out of Yamada's sword, he delivers 4 critical hits, one targeting his throat, which makes him fall on the ground. A walk down memory lane, Yamada questions his sensei over why he pulled him out of the streets and into his house to teach him the mastery of the sword. Shion-san explains his desire to help people in whom he sees potential, and since he saw potential in him, that's why he helped him. But Yamada's emotions take control of him, and he wishes to leave and become a free man without rules. Shion-san agrees to let him go if he manages to deliver one blow on him, but he doesn't listen and makes his way to leave the next morning. But on the way, he's stopped by one of Shion-san's colleagues who takes Yamada to a graveyard and tells him a story of Shion-san's previous student. The student had the same emotions as Yamada and wanted to be free. Shion-san offered him to land one blow, then his wish shall be granted, but the student didn't care and left. Time went by and the student eventually got convicted of heinous crimes, and Shion-san was forced to take his student's life before hearing his final words, "I'm sorry, sensei." The emotional story changes Yamada's mind, and he returns back to his master and takes the offer of landing one hit on him. In this way, Yamada grows up to become one of his sensei's favorite students. Back in Shinsenkyo, Yamada falls on his knees. He could feel his fingers getting cold and his chest burning up. He knows he doesn't have much time and would be killed in a few minutes. He looks back at his master, grabbing his throat in pain. Yamada smiles. He would go all out to let Nurugai and Shion-san escape. He jumps back up and punches the Tensen with all that he has got, pushing it down and towering over him, but the Tensen isn't one bit hurt by these critical hits and delivers yet again a gruesome attack on Yamada. Shion-san knows Yamada is doing this to let them escape and grabs a crying Nurugai and escapes. Yamada looks back at them one last time and in his heart says, "I'm sorry, sensei." He prevents the Tensen from following them and fights it off with everything that he has got. In the end, Tensen has defeated Yamada and even calls him a tough opponent. Norugai cries in pain at losing such a caring friend, but Shion-san only says that it was Yamada's wish, otherwise his death would have been for naught. They will avenge Yamada's death one way or another. Will Gabimaru find the elixir of life? What is the true ability of the Tensen, and how can they be defeated? We will find out soon enough in the next couple of episodes, so don't forget to like and subscribe.